Hey everyone, I'm Netta, and I'm the founder and chief creative officer at beetobee. Today, I'm super excited to share with you the secrets from some of the most prolific content creators ever. Now, I've got a warm cup of tea right here, so feel free to grab your own cup of tea or coffee and let's dive right in. Okay, so here's a quick overview of what we are going to cover today. So first, I'm going to provide a topic overview and share a little bit more about my inspiration for this topic. Then I'll provide the creator intros. After that, we'll talk about some similarities and approaches that these content creators use, and we'll wrap up with a few key points that you can take with you for your content creation journey. Okay, so first, let's start with the inspiration for this topic. So lately, I've been reading some of Brandon Sanderson's novels. I'm currently on book 4 of the Stormlight Archive series, The Rhythm of War. I've also been listening to lots of Lady Gaga throwbacks. I especially listened to her when I was younger. And I've been consuming business content from Leila and Alex Hormozi. You'll see some pictures of them up on the slide right here. You might be wondering, what do these individuals have in common? Well, you might be thinking they're famous, they're celebrities, they're creative, they're artists. Can you guess what I'm thinking? They're all content creators. Brandon Sanderson, Lady Gaga, and Leila Alex Hormozi are each content creators, but they just have different channels and mediums. One of them's a writer, one of them's a singer, and one of them is an entrepreneur. So each of these content creators have their unique channels and mediums. We have a writer, an artist, and an entrepreneur. My goal for this video is to compile the secrets of each of these legendary content creators so you can steal your methods and grow your channel. First, let's start off with the Brandon Sanderson overview. Brandon Sanderson is a beloved science fiction and fantasy author. He is most celebrated for his world building and prolific writing capability. He is well known for his Mistborn and Stormlight Archive series. And the Stormlight Archive series is actually the one that I'm on right now. I'm reading book number 4, Rhythm of War, and it is absolutely incredible. Now, Brandon Sanderson is not just any author. He is known for his incredible writing pace. He usually writes books that are around 300,000 to 500,000 words in length. It actually takes him about 18 months to produce one book. He's very successful. According to my research, he has a net worth of $50 million. He went to Brigham Young University in Utah. He is a professor at BYU, and he teaches a creative writing course. In fact, his creative writing courses are all recorded and posted on his YouTube channel, so you can totally go check them out if this is something you are interested in, and if your content creation niche involves a lot of writing. I have been listening to some of his videos and they have been incredible, so I encourage you to go check them out too. He also did an excellent podcast with Tim Ferriss, which I'll be referencing on throughout this video, so if you'd like, go ahead and watch that podcast with Brandon Sanderson and Tim Ferriss. There's some excellent hidden gems in there and I highly recommend it. Here are a few more photos of Brandon Sanderson, and he has won countless awards. He is highly regarded and he's really just one of the best writers in the field. This tea feels so nice. It is raining outside and it's just the perfect day to be at home and make some content. So speaking of content creation, this is an excellent day to film this video. Cheers. On to our next creator. Let's talk a little bit about Lady Gaga. I am sure most of you guys have heard of Lady Gaga, and if you haven't, you should search Lady Gaga and listen to Poker Face, Bad Romance, and Just Dance. These are some of her most famous songs and 3 of my favorite songs too. So her full name is actually Stefani Joanne Angelina Germanotta, and she is professionally known as Lady Gaga. She is an American singer, songwriter, and actress. She is best known for her innovative and groundbreaking work in the musical industry. Lady Gaga is one of the best-selling artists of all time and a whopping net worth of over 300 million. So Lady Gaga began playing music at a really young age. She was enrolled in a creative camp and she studied method acting at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute for 10 years. She's also studied at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. She also grew up listening to some musical artists like Michael Jackson, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, and Whitney Houston. She is well known for her unique and controversial songwriting that covers topics like love, religion, drugs, sexuality, freedom, and individualism. All right, and on to our third creator, Leila Hormozi. So Leila Hormozi is an entrepreneur, and Alex Hormozi are a power couple and co-founders of acquisition.com. While in this particular video, we're focusing more on Leila. Leila and Alex both have incredible content and have really inspired our content creation tools we use here at B2B, so I highly recommend you check them out both. But let's get back to Leila. And Leila is like a best friend that I have actually never met in person, and I have spent lots of time with her online through her YouTube channel. She is very generous with the advice that she offers, and it has been incredibly helpful in my content creation and life journey. So highly recommend you check out Leila and subscribe to her channel. Leila shares invaluable advice, and her story is really inspiring. So I'll give you a little bit of an overview with Leila. So in 2015, she moved across the states to Orange County, California, and she started a career in fitness. She began as a top-selling personal trainer, and then she met her current husband, Alex Hormozi. Together, they founded and scaled multiple companies to 120 million plus in cumulative sales across 4 different industries. Currently, she is a founder of Acquisition.com, which is the holding company for all of her business ventures. So for Leila, success did not just fall into her lap. She worked really hard for this. Leila Hormozi has overcome multiple obstacles and has become the incredible woman she is today, with consistent effort and ruthless systems. Leila went from being arrested 6 times, abusing drugs and alcohol, and being 100 pounds overweight to losing all of that weight, turning her life around and running a multi-million-dollar business. On her YouTube channel, Leila shares life tips, personal growth tips, and business strategies that worked for her. Alright, so now that we've provided a brief overview of each of the content creators, it's time to dive into their strategies and approaches so you can steal their methods and use them too. Let's do this. First, let's talk about a consistent theme across each of these creators' platforms: building systems. This is a huge thing that both Brandon Sanderson and Leila Hormozi talk about. While Lady Gaga doesn't explicitly talk about it, I'll get to a little bit more about what I would think her approach would be and her perspective would be. While Lady Gaga doesn't explicitly talk about it, I'll talk a little bit later about what I would presume her perspective is based on the details and the research that I've found. So during an interview with Tim Ferriss, Brandon Sanderson talks about the importance of systems. He is constantly constructing a narrative, so he has systems in place to protect his time, because time is so precious. So if there are decisions that need to be made ahead of time, like what to eat, what to wear, when to write, what kinds of meetings to hold, Brandon will have these made ahead of time so he can focus his precious time and energy on constructing the narrative. This also reduces decision fatigue and enables him to devote his mental energy to crafting stories. So Leila constantly talks about the importance of creating systems in her videos. In a recent video, she actually talked about how success is super hard to achieve until you build the right systems. I've listened to this video several times and I highly recommend it. So here's actually what Leila says in one of her videos. "I'm not here because I'm smarter or more talented than you. I am here because I have built daily fail-proof systems that deliver actual results in my life." So I think this is incredibly powerful. Leila is basically saying that there is nothing different from her and you in terms of intellect. The only difference between Leila and someone who is not achieving their goals is that they lack the right systems. What Leila is saying here is so profound. She's basically saying if we make the right decisions, create the right systems and processes, we can also blow up our channels. We can make a massive impact, and we can achieve huge success with our content channels. Being successful doesn't have to do with how smart you are and how talented you are. You don't need to be like super duper smart, a genius. You really just need to apply the right systems, the right processes. It's about the daily little actions. It's about the little actions that you take each day, the steps you take each day. Leila also talks about how most people come to her saying they lack the motivation to be successful. Leila's response is that most people don't have a motivation problem. They have a systems problem. The secret to success is having the right systems. So I'm just gonna repeat this over and over and over again. Systems are huge. Every successful person has talked about it in some way or another, if not implied it. I think that one of the most important things content creators can do is put the right systems in place. So in order to achieve your goals, you need to put systems in place that will enable you to achieve your goals every day, week, and year. Leila says it's just a matter of putting systems in place ahead of time. In order to make a system repeatable, you need 3 pieces that go into it. First, the system has to have a trigger. Second, it has to have a process. And third, you have to have a way to track it. So the trigger might be setting up your tripod with your camera with a fully charged battery in it and creating your space so that the next morning when you wake up, you can just get up and start filming. Step 2, the process might be the next morning when you get up, you get ready, you have your breakfast, you grab your coffee or tea if it's a prop or part of your video, and then you take a seat, you film your video, and then after you film your video, you can upload the footage and send it to your editor for editing, or upload the footage, organize it into files, and get ready to begin the editing. Step 3, for tracking, you could have a spreadsheet or chart or something on your whiteboard or chalkboard to just check once you've filmed the video or to indicate the status. Video has been filmed, video has been uploaded, video is sent to editor, video has been edited. This enables you to track your progress, which is huge. Building a system enables you to work towards your goals regardless of your motivation or feelings. Relying on feelings and motivation alone won't get you very far. It's important that you build systems that you can stick to. For example, if you're trying to create 3 full-length 15 to 20 minute YouTube videos a day and you're unable to do that, then your system is ineffective. Maybe a better goal would be to try and make 2 to 3 videos a week. If you're struggling to reach your goals, you may want to revisit your system and see what needs to be tweaked. Now let's talk a little bit about decision fatigue. So like Brandon Sanderson, Leila also talks a lot about reducing decision fatigue by setting up these systems and processes in advance so decisions are made ahead of time so she can just focus on her work and be incredibly productive without having to worry about what she's gonna eat that day for lunch, when she's gonna have her coffee, when she's gonna go to the gym. So how would reducing decision fatigue apply to content creation? Let's go over some examples. You could create a content creation system in advance. For example, you could decide that on Monday you will perform all of your research and on Tuesday you will do the writing. So you will turn your research into a blog, and then from that blog you will create an outline for a video script. Maybe on Wednesday you will do the filming. On Thursday and Friday you will take 2 days to do the editing. On Saturday you will take shorts and you will post that on your social media channels. You'll upload your long form video, you'll create that thumbnail for it, and you'll write a few social media posts and get those out there as well. Sunday could be your day off to rest and reset, because rest and recovery is so important. It's just as important, if not more important, than all the other steps, because if you're not well rested, your system is gonna crash. It's not gonna work. So think about how you can create a system that you can stick to consistently and regularly. Another huge tip is to carve out specific times to work on content creation. Like Brandon Sanderson says, he needs to preserve his mental energy for constructing a story. So if he has a bunch of these random decisions made ahead of time, he can focus on constructing that narrative, he can focus on the world building, he can focus on developing some really nuanced characters, instead of thinking about when am I gonna meet with the publisher, what am I gonna have for lunch, when am I gonna walk the dog. He doesn't have to worry about any of these little decisions because they've already been made in advance, and specific time has been carved out in his calendar for writing, for content creation, for teaching his students. Okay, so now let's talk about an actionable next step that I would love for you to take. So I would encourage you to take a fresh look at your schedule. So go ahead, pull up your schedule and ask yourself, what are some specific times you can carve out to work on content creation? I could even do this with you right now. So I'm gonna go to my schedule and I'm gonna pull up my calendar. And when you pull up your calendar, you see how you can create those little blocks. I want you to go ahead and think, okay, let's see, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., that seems like an empty block for me. I'm gonna carve out 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Saturday to work on content creation for 2 hours. That doesn't mean that's all you have to do. That means this is just a blocked time that's dedicated for content creation. It's your sacred content creation time that you will do nothing else but content creation in this time. If you have a free day, you can spend the rest of the day continuing to do content creation. If you don't have a lot of time, you know that you have dedicated this time to do whatever you can. So even if you can only do 30 minutes within this dedicated time on Friday because you have to meet with a client or you have something else going on, that is okay. At least you are gonna get a little bit done, because the important part of building these systems is that they can last a long time, and they can last even on the days when you're in a low mood or on days you're in a high mood, because the second, Leila talks about this a lot, the second a system breaks when you are in a low mood or you're not feeling so great, then you know that the system had a flaw in it, because the system is supposed to withstand the highs and the lows. So I hope this is helpful, and I'd love for you guys to comment down below once you've blocked off some time for content creation in your calendars, and once you've taken a look at your systems and decided which ones are working and which ones need to be tweaked. Another thing that I have found really helpful is scheduling time to get in some movement. Movement, I think, helps a lot with creativity and getting ideas flowing. Maybe this is another video that I can make. Comment down below if you'd be interested in learning more. But yeah, I find it really helpful to schedule in my breaks. Like, I'm going to take a walk, I'm going to have a creative break to do some writing, maybe do some painting, to take a step back and then come back to the work with a fresh mind and a fresh start. So you might be wondering, what about Lady Gaga? What is her take on systems? So while Lady Gaga doesn't deliberately talk about systems, it is evident from her experiences that she has systems in place that have contributed to her success. She carves out time to write music daily, and to practice, and to rehearse. She has a rigorous exercise regime that helps her stay in shape. According to Josh Linker's article, Lady Gaga is the product of intense and consistent practice, an amalgamation of her countless hours doing the reps. Even though Lady Gaga doesn't talk a lot about systems like Leila or Brandon Sanderson do, it's clear that systems are an important part of her success. So this makes me wonder, can you achieve major success as a content creator without systems? Well, probably. There might be some people who are very successful content creators, and maybe there might be some rare content creators that don't necessarily have a rhyme or rhythm to their success, and they are just kind of randomly successful. Actually, Brandon Sanderson, in his interview with Tim Ferriss, has a word for it. He calls them binge writers. So basically he talks about how they are writers that will lock themselves up in a cabin for a few months. So they enter the cabin without a book, and then they leave in the 2 months after with a fully written novel. It takes 2 months out of the 12 in a year, so the remaining 10 months they can have fun, go on vacation, do whatever, because they've already written their book that year. This works for some people, and not most people. So if you're part of the rare exception where you can just binge content create and create all of your content in 2 months for the entire year, and then go and have fun and travel the world, and unless you're a travel content creator, then go for that. But for most people, this binging, batching, it to an extreme extent doesn't work. However, I actually would like to offer a interesting middle ground, like an interesting combination of both extremes. So whether you're being incredibly consistent or whether you're binging, I'm wondering if there's the best of both worlds. So here's what I was thinking. Instead of batching everything for the entire year in 2 months, that's very extreme. What if you just batch some of the work? Instead of focusing on making one video a week, what if you break up your content creation into what can be done within a month, and then categorize what is done each week? So let me explain, because that might have sounded a little bit confusing. When it comes to content creation, I like to think of us as people who do many different jobs, as marketers, as content creators, or even as a small business owner who is now trying to tap into the space. You will soon realize why we've built our business, because we're trying to help people, because we know as content creators how much work it is and how much goes into every single piece, every single video. So that is why we want to help small business owners. Anyway, what I was thinking is you could have 1 week that focuses on research. So in this week, you will research content for 4 different topics. And then the next week would focus entirely on writing. So you'll write your initial article or your initial script. I like writing an initial blog article, and then I take that and translate it into a script that I can then film. Then the week after that, or the next 2 weeks even, you could focus on filming and editing. So that's basically producing the content. And then the week after that, you focus on distribution. So then you cut up and create the shorts, you create the little sound bites if you want to create podcasts, if you want to write graphics and produce cute little Canva graphics and post those. So this is like I think it's the best of both worlds. In a way, it's a middle ground. It allows you to be consistent and it allows you to batch without batching to an extreme. So this might be helpful, especially if you find that you're more productive when you just do all of your writing at once, all of your filming at once, all of your editing at once, and you just are focused because your brain is in writing mode, your brain is in filming mode, your brain is in creating mode. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Just let me know what you guys think. Which method would you find more helpful? Are you just being consistent with, I'm gonna create one video a week, I'm gonna go through the entire process from writing to finally press publish on YouTube, and I'm gonna do that in a week? Or would you rather do all of your writing, all of your videotaping, and then all of your posting and have your process be over the course of a month? Or are you an extreme and are you a binge content creator where you will just lock yourself up in a cave and film 12 videos in 2 months or something like that? 50 videos, I don't know, 52 videos. Yeah, 52 videos in 2 months. Goodness gracious, that's like one video for each week of the year. That is a lot of videos. Let me know in the comments down below what type of content creator are you and which system do you think you are gonna implement. Now let's talk about consistency. Okay guys, consistency is so important. This is a theme that each of the content creators have discussed, and it is one that I wholeheartedly believe in, and it's one that I've even mentioned before in this video. So let's dive right in. You gotta put the reps in. This is something huge that Leila and Alex Hormozi talk a lot about. Let's just think, for example, about going to the gym. If you're going to the gym and you show up and the first day you just try every single machine and you go all out, but then you never go back, and you're like, well, I just went to the gym and I worked super hard for like 8 hours one day. You are not gonna get the results. You're not gonna get the body of your dreams because you've only gone once. You haven't put the reps in, the repetition, right? Reps short for repetition. You haven't put the reps in. So athletes and Olympians and trainers, so people who are really athletic and people who maybe train competitively, they didn't just get there overnight. They didn't just go for one day and work really hard, and not sleep and just work really insanely hard. They go train consistently. Actually, one of our friends is a captain of a rugby team in New Zealand, and he was telling us about his training program. And basically they would run up and down a mountain multiple times for cardio days. They would train for 6 hours a day, and on different days they would do strength and resistance training, and on other days they would do cardio. They put the reps in, and that is why they're able to be so big and strong and to, go into their games with the right mindset, ready to win. So instead, if you go to the gym consistently every single day for 1 hour a day, and on Mondays and Tuesdays you do cardio, on Fridays and Saturdays you do resistance training, and you have a plan, you're maybe working with a personal trainer or you figured something out online, you will see results and you will get stronger because you are consistently going. So if someone is just getting started with content creation, for example, let's switch from the gym scenario to content creation, I would suggest just start with 15 minutes a day and give yourself a week of doing 15 minutes a day of content creation. So maybe in those 15 minutes, you will practice setting up your camera and your stage and checking the lighting. You don't even film. And then maybe the next day you brainstorm some content creation ideas. And the day after that, you write a sample script, but you don't have to film it. And then the next day you film it and you just say, I'm gonna give myself an opportunity to make a really bad first draft. It doesn't have to be posted. And then maybe you try again the next day and you try to post it. So you're starting out with 15 minutes a day, but you're putting the reps in. Then you can increase that to 30 minutes a day. Then you can increase that to an hour or 2. And suddenly you're a content creator, not just because you spent one day filming for 8 hours, freaking out and trying to figure out how to edit with Adobe Premiere Pro and you've never touched a video editing software before. So it's not how it works. You gotta be consistent and you gotta put the reps in. This is what Brandon Sanderson does. This is how he's able to write those novels of 300 to 500,000 words every single day. Every single day. He says he has a goal of writing 2,000 to 2,500 words. That is how he gets to 500,000 words. He doesn't just sit down and say, I'm gonna write 500,000 words. In a similar way, I would not recommend you sit down and say, I'm gonna film 12 YouTube videos today. That's just not gonna work. Or I'm gonna film 6 YouTube videos in one sitting, and you've never done it before. So I would recommend just set aside time every single day. You're gonna either work for this amount of time or you're gonna produce this quantity. So remember, tracking is key, especially when it comes to consistency. So decide on your metric. Do you want to measure your success in terms of how many blogs you write a day, how many scripts you create a day, or how many minutes you put in each day? It's really important to track your progress and to track your inputs as opposed to your outputs. Don't worry about how your video is going to perform before you even film it. Focus on filming a video. Focus on filming 2 videos. That is way more important than the actual results. The results will come over time as you put the reps in. If you go to the gym and you say, I'm just gonna push really, really hard, your muscle just won't get bigger by the end of the day. It won't just like blow up. It takes time. So you focus on putting in the inputs, you focus on pressing the weights, and you focus on pushing those weights. Over time, you will get the body of your dreams, and over time, you will build the channel of your dreams. So I'm just going back to Leila Hormozi a little bit more on consistency. Leila even has a video where she talks about how to become dangerously consistent. I love this video. I've listened to it multiple times. She talks about how people can consistently overeat, consistently be lazy, and consistently not go to the gym. So you can consistently be good at doing things that are not good for you. So instead, why don't you train yourself to consistently be good at doing things that are good for you? And I've actually started going to the gym recently myself, and it's something that I'm working on building into my lifestyle consistently. So I'm not gonna tell myself I need to go to the gym and work out for 6 to 8 hours a day. No, because I'm not a professional rugby player or an Olympian, and I don't need to do that. Instead, here's how I did it. I said, I'm just gonna consistently show up to the gym once a day for the entire week. I don't even have to do anything. If I just tag in and go upstairs and go to the bathroom, that is okay, because my goal was to just show up, go to the gym. Show up, do some stretches. Show up, play around with some machines. Now, naturally, while I was at the gym, I realized, well, I'm here, let me explore. And I explored the gym with curiosity. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you're setting these new goals and trying new content creation methods. Explore with curiosity. What if I wrote a blog on this topic? I'm curious, let's research this. What do Lady Gaga, Brandon Sanderson, and Leila and Alex Hormozi all have in common, even though they're completely different people in completely different creative spaces? So yeah, I think I would actually say, let's add curiosity into this mix. I think curiosity is super important, and it is another common thread across each of these content creators. So approach consistency with curiosity. One last thing Leila says, and I really like this saying, is she says, F your mood, follow the plan. So FYM, FTP. So regardless of how you feel, you're still gonna show up, you're still gonna put the reps in, and this is how you ensure your systems are feeling proof. Because you might be feeling great and on top of the world one day, and you might be feeling not so good today. Some days you just don't feel great, but as long as you commit to the process and commit to showing up and doing your best, doing those 2 hours of content creation, writing those 2,000 words, you'll achieve your dreams. Lady Gaga even says, the way to make it in this business is to write songs and to go out in the world, pick up your guitar, walk from block to block and say, hi, I'm Lady Gaga, I'm an artist, can you book me in at 7 o'clock on Friday? That's how she did it. She put herself out there, she consistently went and asked for what she wanted until she made it happen. Lady Gaga also makes time each day to work on her songs and practice. She is proud. She is the product of intense and consistent practice and an amalgamation of her countless hours doing the reps. So it is undeniable that consistent action can lead to success. The important thing is to choose the right actions and not give up. Now, there's one other area that I would like to talk about, and that is passion and meaning. So each of these content creators talks about the importance of having a purpose. Brandon Sanderson says that having a purpose and having a reason to do well makes a massive difference. It's actually what helped him turn his life and grades around and become one of the world's most prolific writers. Lady Gaga and Leila Hormozi also consistently talk about their desire to make an impact and build something bigger than themselves, whether they're building up individuals, building businesses, or both. So think for a second, what is the purpose that drives your vision? How can you let that purpose drive you? All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today, we have covered 3 different content creators. We've explored how each creator applies systems, consistency, and passion to produce meaningful work and make an impact. I hope this video helped unveil the secrets of some of the most successful content creators in the world. Thanks so much for watching. I want to hear from you, so please comment down below what's one new thing you learned from this video. Can't wait to see you back here soon. Now let's go create more content. Bye!